Picture this. You walk into a dealership. You're not looking for a sports car, not a luxury SUV, just a basic, reliable, everyday car. The salesman slides a sheet across the desk, and the number staring back at you is $48,000. You blink, you check again. That's not the top trim, that's not the loaded package. That's the starting price for a car that'll sit in traffic, haul groceries, and lose half its value in 5 years. Now here's the part that'll really get under your skin. At the exact same moment you're standing in that dealership, a factory in China just rolled a fully electric vehicle off the assembly line. Touchscreen, climate control, real range, priced at $4,500, and they're selling millions of them. So the question isn't just why cars got so expensive in America. The real question is, who decided you shouldn't have a choice? Welcome to AK Truthix, where we don't just report the story, we go underneath it. Let's get into it. Part 1. How America priced out its own people. For most of the 20th century, American automakers built for everyone. Young couples, college kids, working families, retirees. Volume was the goal. Then the math changed. Executives discovered one fully loaded pickup truck generated more profit than 5 compact sedans combined. So the strategy became simple. Stop chasing volume, chase margin. One by one, affordable cars disappeared. Ford killed most of its passenger cars. GM doubled down on trucks and SUVs, and the average transaction price climbed higher every single year. Those affordable cars weren't just cheap options, they were the entry point into vehicle ownership for millions of Americans. When automakers killed that segment, they didn't just cut a product blind, they cut off an entire generation of buyers. And then came the payment trap. Walk into a dealership today and notice something. Nobody mentions the total price. The conversation goes straight to one number: the monthly payment. Can you do $600 a month? We'll stretch it to 72 months and bring it down to $575. Sounds manageable. That's exactly the point. Stretch a car loan to 7 or 8 years and something ugly happens. Depreciation moves faster than your payments do. Millions of Americans right now owe more on their cars than those cars are actually worth, locked into payments on an asset that loses value while they sleep. The system doesn't just allow this, it's built this way. And while American buyers were being sold on monthly payments, China was asking a completely different question. Not how do we maximize profit per vehicle, but how do we build transportation for everyone? Those questions sound similar. They are not. One produces premium products for a shrinking customer base. The other builds an industrial ecosystem capable of moving an entire planet. Part 2. The machine America never saw coming. Imagine walking into an auto show expecting luxury sedans and 6-figure concept cars. Instead, you find electric vehicles priced between $1,000 and $5,000. Tiny electric trucks, 3-wheeled EVs, solar-powered scooters. Some cost less than a smartphone. Western visitors laugh at first. They look like toys. But then something shifts. People start thinking about how they actually use their vehicles. A grocery run, a school pickup, a 10-minute trip across town. None of that requires 400 horsepower, and suddenly those tiny vehicles don't look ridiculous anymore. They look like the solution to a problem American automakers chose to stop solving. And now here's the biggest misunderstanding about Chinese vehicles. People think they're cheap because of cheap labor. That explanation is dead. Modern manufacturing is one on systems, supply chains, battery production, software, electronics, all working together faster and cheaper than anyone else. Building a car in America means sourcing batteries from one place, electronics from another, software somewhere else entirely. Now picture an ecosystem where battery makers sit next to motor manufacturers, where the same electronics suppliers build components for smartphones, solar panels, and EVs simultaneously. Everything is faster, everything is cheaper, everything improves in shorter cycles. China didn't just build battery factories, it built an entire battery ecosystem from raw materials to recycling at a scale that will take decades for anyone else to match. When battery costs drop, everything drops, and that is exactly what is happening right now. The average American commute is under 30 miles round trip. Most daily trips are groceries and school runs, yet most households drive vehicles built to cross mountain ranges they'll never see. The mismatch is enormous, and a generation of younger buyers is starting to do the math. Part 3. The question Detroit doesn't want to answer. Kodak invented the digital camera and still lost. Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix and passed. Nokia owned mobile phones until it didn't. The pattern is always the same: dominance, complacency, disruption. The next shift in this industry may not come from performance or range or technology. It may come from price. What if the most important vehicle of the next decade isn't a $100,000 electric truck, but a $5,000 commuter that handles 90% of what most people actually need every day? Disruption never comes from the top. It always comes from the bottom, the segment the dominant players stopped taking seriously. That's why governments worldwide are panicking. Tariffs, trade restrictions, political pressure. None of that happens because Chinese cars are irrelevant. It happens because they are becoming impossible to ignore. Right now, millions of Americans are stuck between two bad options: used cars that got expensive, new cars that got impossible. The gap between what people can afford and what's available keeps growing, and whenever a gap opens in a market, someone fills it. Maybe Detroit wakes up. Maybe it's a startup nobody has heard of yet. But right now, the most aggressive, most organized effort to fill that gap is coming from factories most Americans have never thought about, building vehicles most Americans once laughed at. The first smartphone looked like a toy. The first streaming service looked irrelevant. One day, people may look back at those small electric cars sitting quietly in Chinese showrooms and realize they weren't the joke. They were the warning. The $50,000 average car is not an accident. It's the result of decades of decisions by an industry that chose profit over people. And what's rising on the other side of the world is not an accident either. One question before you go, and I want your real answer in the comments. If a $5,000 certified electric car handled everything you actually needed every day, would you buy it? Or does the badge on the hood still matter that much to you? Hit like if this made you think. Subscribe to AK Truthix. We cover what the industry hopes you never figure out. See you in the next one.